The boiling pot, Ezekiel 24. In the 9th year, in the 10th month, on the 10th day of the month, the word of the Almighty God came to me. Mortal. The word of the Almighty God, came to me. Write down the name of this day. This very day, the king of Babylon has laid siege to Jerusalem this very day, and utter an allegory to the rebellious house, and say to them, Thus says the Almighty God, set on the pot, set it on, pour in water also, pour it in the pieces, all the good pieces, the thigh and the shoulder, fill it with choice bones. Take the choicest one of the flocks, pile the logs under it, boil its pieces, see also its bones in it. Therefore, thus says the Almighty God, woe to the bloody city, the pot whose rust is in it. Whose rust has not gone out of it. Empty it piece by piece, make it no choice at all, for the blood she shed is inside it. She placed it on a bare rock. She did not pour it out on the ground, to cover it with earth, to rouse my wrath, to take vengeance. I have placed the blood she shed on a bare rock, so that it may not be covered. Therefore, thus says the Almighty God, woe to the bloody city. I will even make the pile great. Heap up the logs, kindle the fire, boil the meat well, mix in the spices, let the bones be burned, stand it empty up on the coals, so that it may become hot, its copper glow, its filth melt in it, its rust be consumed. In vain I have wearied myself, its thick rust does not depart, to the fire with its rust. Yet when I cleanse you and your filthy lewdness, you did not become clean from your filth. You shall not again be cleansed until I have satisfied my fury upon you. I, the Almighty God, have spoken. The time is coming. I will act. I will not refrain. I will not spare. I will not relent. According to your ways and your doings, I will judge you, said the Almighty God. Ezekiel's bereavement. The word of the Almighty God came to me. Mortal, with one blow I am about to take away from you the delight of your eyes, yet you shall not mourn or weep, nor shall your tears run down. Sigh, but not aloud. Make no mourning for the dead. Bind on your turban and put your sandals on your feet. Do not cover your upper lip or eat the bread of mourners. So I spoke to the people in the morning, and at the evening my wife died. And on the next morning I did as I was commanded. Then the people said to me, will you not tell us what these things mean for us, that you are acting in this way? Then I said to them, the word of the Almighty God came to me. Say to the house of Israel, thus says the Almighty God, I will profane my sanctuary, the pride of your power, the delight of your eyes, and your heart's desire. And your sons and your daughters, whom you left behind, shall fall by the sword. And you shall do as I have done. You shall not cover your upper lip or eat the bread of mourners. Your turban shall be on your heads, and your sandals on your feet. And you shall not mourn or weep, but you shall pine away in your iniquities, and groan to one another. Thus Ezekiel shall be a sign to you. And you shall do just as he has done. When this comes, then you shall know that I am the Almighty God. And you, mortal, on the day when I take from them their stronghold, their joy and glory, the delight of their eyes and their heart's affection, and also their sons and their daughters. And on that day, one who has escaped will come to you to report to you the news. On that day, your mouth shall be open to the one who has escaped, and you shall speak no longer. Be silent. So you shall be a sign to them, and they shall know that I am the Almighty God. Proclamation against Ammon. Ezekiel 25. The word of the Almighty God came to me. Mortal, set your face towards the Ammonites and prophecy against them. Say to the Ammonites, hear the word of the Almighty God. Thus said the Almighty God, because you said, aha, over my sanctuary when it was profaned, and over the land of Israel when it was made desolate, and over the house of Judah when it went into exile. Therefore I am handing you over to the people of the east for a possession. They shall set their encampments among you, and pitch their tent in your midst, and they shall eat your fruit, and they shall drink your milk. And I will make Rabbah a pasture for camels, and Ammon a fold for flocks. Then you shall know that I am the Almighty God. For thus says the Almighty God, because you have clapped your hands and stamped your feet, and rejoice with all the malice within you against the land of Israel. Therefore I have stretched out my hand against you, and will hand you over as plunder to the nations, and I will cut you off from the peoples, and will make you perish out of the countries. I will destroy you. Then you shall know that I am the Almighty God. Proclamation against Moab. Thus says the Almighty God, because Moab said, the house of Judah is like all the other nations. Therefore I will lay open the flank of Moab from the towns on its frontier, the glory of the country. Beth Jeshimoth, Baal Meon, and Kiriathaim. I will give it along with Ammon to the people of the east as a possession. Thus Ammon shall be remembered no more among the nations, and I will execute judgments upon Moab. Then they shall know that I am the Almighty God. Proclamations against Edom. Thus says the Almighty God, because Edom acted vengefully against the house of Judah, and has grievously offended and taken vengeance upon them. 12. 13. Therefore thus says the Almighty God, I will stretch out my hand against Edom, and cut off from it humans and animals, and I will make it desolate from Theman even to Dedan, and they shall fall by the sword. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall act in Edom according to my anger and according to my wrath, and they shall know my vengeance, says the Almighty God. Woo! Vengeance belongs to God. Proclamations against Philistia. Thus says the Almighty God, because with unending hostilities the Philistines acted in vengeance. And with malice of heart took revenge and destruction. Therefore thus says the Almighty God, I will stretch out my hand against the Philistines, cut off the Cherethites, and destroy the rest of the sea coast. And I will execute great vengeance on them with wrathful punishment. Then they shall know that I am the Almighty God when I lay my vengeance on them. Proclamations against Thadi. In the 11th year, on the first day of the month, the word of the Almighty God came to me. Mortal, because Thadi said concerning Jerusalem, aha, broken is the gateway of the people. It has swung open to me. It shall be replenished, now that it is wasted. Therefore, thus says the Almighty God, see, I am against you, O Thadi. I will hurl many nations against you. As the sea hurls its waves They shall destroy the walls of Thadi and break down its towers. I will scrape its soil from it and make it a bare rock. It shall become in the midst of the sea, a place for spreading nets. I have spoken, says the Almighty God, and it shall become plunder for the nations, and its daughter towns in the country shall be killed by the sword. And they shall know that I am the Almighty God. For thus says the Almighty God, I will bring against Thadi from the north King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, King of kings, together with horses, chariots, cavalry, and a great and powerful army. Your daughters, towns, and country. And he shall put to the sword, and he shall set up a siege wall against you, cast up a ramp against you, and raise a roof of shields against you. He shall direct the shock of his battering rams against your wall, and break down your towers with his axes. His horses shall be so many that their dust shall cover you. At the noise of cavalry, wheels, and chariots, your very wall shall shake when he enters your gate, like those entering a breached city with the hoofs of his horses. He shall trample all your streets, and he shall put your people to the sword, and your strong pillars shall fall to the ground, and they will plunder your riches and loot your merchandise, and they shall break down your walls and destroy your fine houses, your stones and timber and soil, and they shall cast into the water, and I will silence the music of your songs, and the sound of your lyre shall be heard no more, and I will make you a bare rock, and you shall be a place for spreading nets. You shall never again be rebuilt. For the Almighty God, I, the Almighty God, have spoken, says the Almighty God. Thus says the Almighty God to Thadi, shall not the coastland shake at the sound of your fall, when the wounded groan and when the slaughter goes on within you? Then all the princes of the sea shall step down from their thrones. They shall remove their robes and strip off their embroidered garments, and they shall clothe themselves with trembling and shall sit on the ground, and they shall tremble at every moment and be appalled at you. And they shall raise a lamentation over you and say to you, how you have vanished from the seas, O city renowned, once mighty on the sea, you and your inhabitants who impose your terror on all the mainland. Now the coastlands tremble on the day of your fall. The coastlands by the sea are dismayed at your passing. For thus said the Almighty God, when I make you a city laid waste, like cities that are not inhabited, when I bring up the deep over you, and the great waters cover you, then I will thrust you down with those who descend into the pit. To the people of long ago, I will make you live in the world below, among primeval ruins, with those who go down to the pit, so that you will not be inhabited or have a place in the land of the living. And I will bring you to a dreadful end, and you shall be no more. Though sought for, you will never be found again, says the Almighty God. Lamentation over Thadi. The word of the Almighty God came to me. Now, you mortal, raise a lamentation over Thadi, and say to Thadi, which sits at the entrance to the sea, merchants of the peoples on many coastlands, thus says the Almighty God, O Thadi, you have said, I am perfect in beauty. Your borders are in the hearts of the sea. Your builders made perfect your beauty. They made all your planks of fair trees from Sennar. They took a cedar from Lebanon to make a mast for you. From oaks of Bashan, they made your oars. They made your deck of pines from the coast of Cyprus, and inlaid with ivory. A fine embroidered linen from Egypt was your sail. serving as your ensign. Blue and purple from the coast of Elisha was your awing. The inhabitants of Sidon and Avad were your rowers. Skilled men of Zemia were within you. They were your pilots. So it says, Aquila have vanished. Inhabited one. Hebrews, it and its inhabitants. There I will give beauty. Boxwood. Compare. Genesis 10:18. Hebrews, your skilled men, Othari. The elders of Jebal and its artisans were within you, caulking your scenes. All the ships of the sea with their mariners were within you. Tabatia for your words. Badas and Lud and Put were in your army, your mighty warriors. They hung shield and helmet in you. They gave you splendor. Men of Avad and Helach were on your walls all around. Men of Gamat were at your towers. They hung their quivers all around your walls. They made perfect your beauty. Tarshish did business with you. Out of the abundance of your great wealth, silver, iron, tin, and lead they exchanged for your wars. Javian, Thubia, Meshach traded with you. They exchanged human beings and vessels of bronze for your merchandise. Beth the Gamoth exchanged for your wars, horses, war horses, and mules. The Rhodians traded with you. Many coastlands were your own special markets. They brought you in payment ivory, tusks, and ebony. Edom did business with you because of your abundant goods. They exchanged for your wares turquoise, purple, embroidered work, fine linen, coral, and rubies. Judah and the land of Israel traded with you. They exchanged for your merchandise wheat from millet, honey, oil, and balm. Damascus traded with you for your abundant goods because of your great wealth of every kind of wine, of Helban and white wool. Vidian and Javian from Uzal entered into trade for your wares, wrought iron, cassia, and sweet cane were battered for your merchandise. Dedan traded with you, and saddlecloths for riding. Arabia and all the princes of Kedar were your favorite dealers in lambs, rams, and goats, and these they did business with you. The merchants of Sheba and Ramah traded with you. They exchanged for your wives the best of all kinds of spices, and all precious stones, and gold. Haran, Kana, Eden, the merchants of Sheba, Ashur, and Chelmad traded with you. These traded with you in choice garments and clothes of blue and embroidered work, and in carpets of colored material bounded with cords and made secure, and these they traded with you. The ships of Tarshish traveled for you in your trade, so you were filled and heavily laden in the heart of the seas. Your roars have brought you into the high seas. The east winds has wrecked you in the heart of the seas. Your riches, your wars, your merchandise, your mariners and your pilots, your caulkers, your dealers in merchandise, and all your warriors within you, with all the company that is with you, silk in to the heart of the seas on the day of your ruin. At the sound of the cry of your pilots, the countryside shakes, and down from their ships come all that handle the oar, the mariners and all the pilots of the sea. Stand on the shore and wail all aloud over you and cry bitterly. They throw dust on their heads and wallow in ashes. They make themselves bald for you and put on sackcloth, and they weep over you in bitterness of soul, with bitter mourning. Their wailing, they raise a lamentation for you and lament over you, who was ever destroyed like Dottie in the midst of the sea. When your watch came from the seas, you satisfied many peoples with your abundant wealth and merchandise. You enriched the kings of the earth. Now you are wrecked by the seas and in the depths of the waters. Your merchandise and all your crew have sunk with you. All the inhabitants of the coastlands are appalled at you, and their kings are horribly afraid. Their faces are convulsed. The merchants among the peoples hiss at you. You have come to a dreadful end and shall be no more forever. Proclamations against the king of Tyre. The word of the Almighty God came to me. Mortal, say to the prince of Tyre, thus says the Almighty God, because your heart is proud, 28, and you have said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of the gods, in the heart of the seas, yet you are but a mortal and no God. Though you compare your mind with the mind of a God, you are indeed wiser than Daniel. No secret is hidden from you. By your wisdom and your understanding, you have amassed wealth for yourself and have gathered gold and silver into your treasuries. By your great wisdom in trade, you have increased your wealth, and your heart has become proud in your wealth. Therefore, thus says the Almighty God, because you compare your mind with the mind of a God, therefore I will bring strangers against you in the most terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of your wisdom and defile your splendor, and they shall thrust you down to the pit, and you shall die a violent death in the heart of the seas. Will you still say, I am a God? In the presence of those who kill you, though you are but a mortal and no God, in the hands of those who wound you, you shall die the death of the uncircumcised by the hand of foreigners. For I have spoken, said the Almighty God. Lamentation over the king of Tyre. Moreover, the word of the Almighty God came to me. Mortal, raise a lamentation over the king of Tyre and say to him, thus says the Almighty God. You were the signet of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of Eden. Every precious stone was your covering. Carnelian, chrysolite, and moonstone, beryl, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald, and worked in gold, and were your satins, and your engravings. On the day that you were created, they were prepared. With an anointed cherub as guardian, I placed you. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked among the stones of fire. You were blameless in your ways from the day that you were created, until the iniquity was found in you, in abundance of your trade. You were filled with violence, and you sinned. So I cast you as a profane thing from the mountain of God. And the guardian cherub drove you out from among the stones of fire.